It is Monday night, and the mood is right to do a podcast with D.Y. Rivera.
Man, Twitter has you fired up today, huh?
You know what? There's a lot of things in this world that get my ass fired up. A lot of things. People getting their ass whooped. More people getting their ass whooped. Seeing good wrestling. Seeing good fights. In boxing and MMA. And I also like seeing big download numbers, big views for the Walkway to Fight Club. I am Stephen Muehlhausen from DAZN. The man to the right, D.Y. Daryl Rivera, combat sports journalist extraordinaire. This is the Walkway to Fight Club, and you know, I sure as hell wasn't planning a podcast today. And before we go any further, I do want to apologize to all our great viewers, all of our great listeners, because I let you guys down last night, and I had it all ready to go. I was going to do an Impact Rebellion post show, talk a little more UFC from the weekend. And my happy butt, Daryl, fell asleep with my son. Man, wait till you have kids. He's almost 5. They reel you in, man. They catch you when you're tired, very little sleep from the night before, and he got me. The kid got me.
Hey, man. When sleep calls, sleep calls.
I love my kid. I love my kids, man. And, you know, I do apologize because that's not how we do things. So I definitely want to just apologize for that right off the bat. So I do apologize for that. But before we get into all the particulars, I do want to give a shout out. I don't really give fans shout outs too often. I don't really, not my type of thing. But, and I messaged you this because this was fantastic. Each Monday night, I get stats about how the podcast is doing in terms of downloads each week, who is, countries that are watching, if the podcast is getting ranked anywhere. Lo and behold, we are ranked number 21 out of all wrestling podcasts in Saudi Arabia. Yeah.
Let's go.
I want to thank the great people. I want to give them a shout first because they deserve it. I do want to thank the great people of Saudi Arabia for listening, and I'm not sitting here trying to crack jokes or nothing like that. You know, I take this very seriously. Daryl takes it very seriously because this isn't a joke. We're not here to, we may cuss. We may go on rants. We give opinions. We get interviews. We talk to the best in the world in MMA, boxing, and wrestling. We do it. There's a reason and there's a purpose. Yes, it's not Conrad Thompson Podcasting Global Network, and I love Conrad. I do. Conrad's a friend. But I'm not in that podcast network. I'm not in the Westwood one. Actually, they just changed it to Cumulus Radio Network.
Cumulus.
Because Cumulus, I guess they bought Westwood One or some crap like that. So I was like, whoa. So it took me by surprise. We're not like the Chris Jerichos, the Steve Austins, Pat McAfee's, the ESPNs, and all their great podcasts, and Chris Van Fleet's of the world, Renee Paquette's, but just small shop, man. I've grown this once. We're gonna grow it again, and it's baby steps. And I'm proud. Got to start somewhere is always kind of my view. And I want to just thank everyone for the last couple weeks. You know, we've been cranking them out. They've been churning them. Whole month of April, we've been churning podcasts out at least 3-4 a week. So thank you so much to everyone who watches, who rates, reviews, downloads, subscribes, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, iHeart, wherever you find your favorite podcasting platforms. On audio, watching on the YouTube channel, make sure you hit the thumbs up button if you're watching via YouTube. Hit that thumbs up button. And also, please subscribe if you're watching via Facebook Live. It's simple, guys. Simple. Leave a reaction to the video, and then leave a question or a comment. It will get answered on the air. And also follow and like the page. And we got all that up. I am fired up today. I didn't plan this today. I planned for something tomorrow. I was going to, like I said to you before we got on air, DY, I planned on doing one. I was going to text you, hey, let's do one tomorrow. And it was kind of it was the intention. I wanted nothing to do with today. But god dang, Daryl, we get this. Why, oh why? Jake Paul, Daniel Cormier, beefing. The beef. It all started after Jake Paul bludgeoned poor Ben Askren on April 17th. Triller Fight Club pay-per-view. Called out DC, called him a fat boy. Cormier talking smack. Saying if he saw Jake Paul, he's going to smack him. Jake Paul shows up to UFC 261 at the beginning of the Randy Brown Alex Oliveira fight. And all you hear is people chanting, fuck Jake Paul. Okay, cool. You know, they're chanting it. And Cormier's getting riled up. He's wanting some of Jake Paul. There was that fight, the Brown Oliveira fight ended quick. And then ended in the first round. It was an awesome fight, too. Randy Brown looked spectacular. And then you had, it was about a good, 15, 20 minute lull. I'm just scrolling, so I go upstairs, I grab some water. I was looking at social media, and I'm like, what? I see reporters, video, these two getting into it. I'm like, wait, what? Come on. Daniel Cormier, because Jake Paul was there with Antonio Brown, formerly of the Super Bowl champion Buccaneers. And they...
Good company to have.
What's that?
Good company to have.
I can give you a name. It is what it is. I can't always... It is what it is. I'm going to use a Max Holloway line. It is what it is. And Paul had his hands in his pocket. DC's talking a little smack, and security came, and voila, Cormier went. And it seemed like that was the end of it. Then it just escalated into a whole bunch of nonsense. We'll get into that in a moment. But I want to get your thoughts, D-Way, because I spewed my gums right now. I spewed my gums a little bit about it on Saturday. Just what were your thoughts initially when these two got into it on Saturday night?
I mean, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, this has to be a joke. 'Cause, I mean, everything that Jake Paul is doing in the past, since April 17, now about a week, a little less than a week, everything he's done has been calling everybody in the MMA world out. Everybody. So I didn't think that Daniel Cormier would actually take it to heart the way that he did. At first, I'm like, this is a joke. Like, this cannot be serious. And then the second time, I'm like, there is that big payday that Jake Paul can give. Ben Askren did get paid $500,000 to lose. So, I mean, the beef, it might be real. As for whether or not we'll see this ever happen, I don't think we will. But it's stuff like, people hate on stuff like that, like Daniel Cormier going after. I'm like, I like it. It makes me want to watch the entire pay-per-view. You know what I mean? Anything can happen. I thrive in chaos in the combat sports world. I'm fine with it. They're going to go out in the stands, get cameras around it, sell the popcorn, get ready to go.
I loved it, and I wrote about it. I didn't plan on doing so much writing Saturday night, but in between blogging, somehow I wrote 4 articles on this card. That happened to be one of them. And before we go farther, I want to put someone to blame here, and I know this is going to be out of left field. I want to put someone to blame on ESPN. I really am. because they let Cormier go over there. Cormier was fucking working. This is where I'm fired up now, because your broadcast, he's part of the broadcast team for the pay-per-views. Him, John Anik, Joe Rogan, and they do awesome. Why in the hell did they let him go over there? He told the producer, hey, I need to take a siesta. Didn't say where he was going, just said he was going. And then he went. ESPN and the UFC let this get bigger than it ever needed to get. Cormier doesn't go over there, we're not having this conversation. And it's left at tit for tat. Yeah, Jake Paul walked by, he said something to Cormier, but this is where Cormier's got to be professional. He is a broadcaster now. He's no longer a fighter. Fighter at heart, sure. But your job now, you're collecting a check as a broadcaster. Nothing more, nothing less. And what he did, ESPN and the UFC, no one's talked about this. But they are to blame here as well. Cormier should have just let it go. Yeah, have some fun on Twitter, okay. It's Twitter. Let's not get too serious. But then it got personal. And it escalated, where it didn't ever need to go to. Now, am I off on that? Am I just getting too invested? Or do you think there should be some culpability to ESPN and the UFC?
I mean, if you're ESPN, I don't see how you blame ESPN just because it's Daniel Cormier. You know, when he's going to do something, he does it, whether he gets permission or not. Like, he called out Brock Lesnar when Brock Lesnar wasn't even near a UFC contract when he was with another company.
But that's different, though.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's Daniel Cormier. He's going to do whatever he wants. If he gets fired, he gets fired. I mean,
but he can still use that paycheck. That paycheck helps.
Yeah, it helps, but at the same time, we all know his history of, I'm not going to take shit from anybody. He never has. If you go and you can go anywhere, anybody that's mentioned Daniel Cormier in vain, he's going to go after him. He doesn't care. He doesn't stay quiet. And that's his thing. Jake Paul's thing, instigating. When you put one and one together, you get what happened on Saturday. And again, I don't hate it. This gets more views to everything. Because now people are like, I mean, shit. If they're in the same room again, are they actually going to fight each other? Like, I get where you're coming from with the professionalism of the broadcasting. I get it. But I put it in a different perspective just because it's Daniel Cormier, one of the greatest heavyweight fighters of all time in the UFC history. Why not? If that guy called you fat, you want to go fight him? Have at it. Put it on the pay-per-view.
See, if you call me fat, okay, I am. I weigh 215. I'm okay with that. I can lose a few pounds, and I'm on my way to doing that.
Yeah.
Who cares? It's like, and I get your point too, but that would be like, here's an example. Say, Sunday Night Baseball. A-Rod is one of the animals. Now, say the fans are heckling him. You got broken up by... Like, they're heckling him. They're razzing him. They're giving him a hard time. And he gets pretty upset, and that would be like him going to do that and getting into a confrontation with the fan. That's uncalled for. You can't let... Jake Paul's there as a fan. Jake Paul's not there for nothing else. Yeah, he was probably looking to start something. I'm not saying he wasn't. Definitely was. And we'll get into more of that in a minute. But Daniel Cormier is getting paid a lot of money to do a job. UFC 261, I've gotten some rough numbers. I'm going to get a final number tomorrow. That pay-per-view looked like it did extremely well. Why? You got the world watching. Why are you even going to risk that nonsense? Say Jake Paul threw a punch. Daniel Cormier's out the rest of the broadcast. Where do you go after that? Like, you got to think of all these hypotheticals here. What would have happened? I don't know. Maybe. But don't put yourself in a situation. Cormier also was looking for clout, and we'll get into that in a second. But let's talk about this particular evening. I get what you're saying. You're not wrong. I don't think we're both wrong. But he's got a job to do. He's no longer a fighter. Regardless of how he feels about Jake Paul, gotta keep it under control. Going there and pointing fingers. You're pointing a finger at me, that means you're looking for a fight. That's how I was raised. You don't point your finger at me unless you're ready to do something. Daniel Cormier sitting there pointing the finger like, it's like, I would have smacked that finger away and be like, what are you going to do? You say you're going to smack me. Smack me. Say you're going to do something. Do something.
Again,
I have a major problem. And I love DC. I've talked to DC plenty of times. A great interview. Great guy to talk to. Respect him as like no other as a fighter when he was in the octagon. I love him as an analyst. He's fantastic. But doing the crap he pulled here, I lost some respect for DC. I never thought if I'm discussing a beef between Jake Paul and Daniel Cormier, that I'd actually side with Jake Paul.
I still can't side with Jake Paul.
I don't want to.
I can't do it.
I don't want to.
I'm not going to. I'm going to sit on this side or on this side over here.
Walkway to Fight Club, Stephen Muehlhausen from DAZN, Daryl Rivera, combat sports journalist extraordinaire to the right. What do you guys make of the beef between Jake Paul and Daniel Cormier? But it gets better. Just when you thought, like, this is going to be left alone. We're not going to have to think about this anymore. Cormier does a podcast every Monday with Ariel Helwani. Awesome podcast. Ariel's a friend of mine. I always make sure, I try to listen. I'll usually listen like on Monday. Not Monday, on Tuesday. I'll give it a whirl. Or like Monday night, I'll just give it a listen while I'm relaxing. My Twitter, my messages are blowing. I'm getting DMs all over the place. Oh, you listening to this with DC and Ariel? I'm like, no. So I'm looking at some of the quotes, watching a little, like, short little videos, and I'm like, here, and this is where I got all riled up today. Try not to get riled up. It's only Monday. We'll start with this. Cormier says, first thing, I wanted to grab him by the face and smash him into the ground. But you can't do that at work. I would have gotten in trouble. This leads into exactly what I just said. You're at work. Do your fucking job. Do not worry about a 24-year-old social media star turned boxer. If you're DC, you're the man. Former dual champion. One of the best to ever do it. 2-time Olympian. Your shit don't fucking stink, and you're worried about a YouTube kid turned boxer? Come on.
I mean,
That's, go ahead.
all I'm going to say is, how much did Ben Askren get paid for that one fight?
Over $500,000.
DC's looking for a payday. Listen,
Bingo.
Jake Paul,
Bingo.
right now, we can talk about all the hate. We can talk about how irritating he can be. We can talk about how unorthodox he is for the fight fan, for the combat sports community. I get it. But guess what? He's put himself in a situation similar to what Floyd Mayweather was. People will pay to see this guy get knocked out. People will pay to see him fight people that they think can actually beat the living hell out of him because of what he's been doing. Thriller probably did big numbers. I don't remember the numbers that they did.
From what I'm told, they're not still big. Not 1.5, 1.6, and all that other nonsense. Right around $1 million. I'm being told around between $1 million and 1.2. Still great numbers.
Fantastic numbers for a fight.
Don't get me wrong. Still great. Not as big as they made it to be, but that is. I'm trying to get that I shouldn't even have said it. I'm going to jinx myself. But that's the range I've been given. So
Okay.
we'll see.
But that's still great numbers considering it was a YouTuber's third professional fight against Ben Askren, who looked like a third grade gym teacher. Like this is the type of thing that every fighter is seeing right now. He is the money fight right now because people will pay to watch. Money talks. DC's looking for a payday. That's all I can think of. Whenever you see McGregor, you see the Mayweathers of the world, people want to fight him for what reason? They're gonna get paid. Poirier just turned down a title fight to fight McGregor a third time because he knows he's gonna get paid better. Might not be the only reason, but guess what? That's the truth. He's gonna get paid a lot better than what he would have gotten for a title fight. Am I wrong on that, or?
Oh. And DC brought that up today, and I'm like, you got nothing. Yeah, he's made a ton of money, and he brought that up, and it's like, he made around. First Jones fight, I think he made around like 3. The second Jones fight, he made about, it's around 8. Derek Lewis fight, he made about 6. Jake Paul, I think he would command a bigger payday than what Ben Askren got. He's a bigger name than Ben Askren. So if Cormier's smart, be like, and we'll get more than this in a minute, but he could command more at the table. And we'll get into all that in a few minutes. But no, it'd be one big final payday.
Yeah.
It would be. There's a couple other little comments he said here. He goes, "My name will not be used as a springboard. I love my legacy and I will protect my legacy. And if protecting my legacy means I gotta slap this kid upside his head, that's what I'll do." Say it one more time. "My name will not be used as a springboard. I love my legacy and I will protect my legacy. And if protecting my legacy means I gotta slap this kid upside his head, that's what I'll do." Now, I disagree with what he said. I just think he doesn't need Daniel Cormier. I don't think they need each other in terms of clout. They both have their own names and their own different in their respective schools. So that's the fact that Cormier took the time. And if we're just being honest, I know that's hard for journalists, and I know that's hard for people in the fight game involving the athletes. I know it's hard. But if we're all true and honest with ourselves, as much as we all love DC, he's the one clout chasing here. He's the one that got trolled. Plain and simple. Jake Paul's playing chess. These other guys, and a lot of people have agreed with when I said this, everyone else is playing checkers. Like it or not. You should not be getting outsmarted like this. But this generation of people is a whole lot smarter than we want to give credit for. I'm 40 years old. This kid's 24. This kid gets it at 24. How do I get people riled up? He just trolled DC. Got DC all riled up. All riled up. Got talked about on right now. Probably going to be the second biggest pay-per-view of the year. Unless Conor fights one more time for the belt this year. Conor beats Poirier, which will do big business again. And then that big audience talking about it on ESPN airwaves. ESPN's writing articles. We're writing articles. The zones, we're at it. CNN was writing articles. Fox News, everywhere in between the moon, stars, and the sun. All these major sporting places, news websites, writing about this. If anyone is clout chasing, it's Daniel Cormier. I hate saying that. It makes my skin crawl. It's crawling right now.
I hate saying it, but it's true.
That's the good facts, man.
Jake Paul right now is one of the biggest names in the world right now. He's trending. And it sucks to say, and I
would have thought that. What the fuck is wrong with this world?
It makes me want to just put my head through a wall. Like at this point, he is one of the biggest names in combat sports, and he's done it that way because he's trolling everybody. He's been picking his spots. He knows, he gets it. At 24 years old, you mentioned it. He gets it. He understands what he needs to do.
I'll give you guys a peek behind the curtain. Just small. I usually don't do this. This kind of goes to now. We do big traffic at the zone for every main big fight, UFC pay-per-view, boxing fight. Jake Paul, Ben Askren. I won't give you guys the number. I will tell you it's over 1 million. We did over way over 1 million unique page views for Jake Paul, Ben Askren. It's the biggest we've done since Logan Paul and KSI. We've done a lot of big ones. We've done million view page days for fight nights. Done plenty of them. We did it for Tyson and Roy Jones. And for McGregor Poirier. 2. But people like this kid. He's got, whether we want to admit it or not, he's got it. I don't know what the hell it is yet, beyond his charisma. He's got innate charisma you can't match. You're born with that. You are. There's people that have charisma, and then you have people that are blander than shit. This kid's got it in that fucked up way as it is, and I know I wouldn't want my kids watching him, but shit, he sells, man. He brings in numbers. He brings in legit money, and you know, you got people talking about you like that, Mike Tyson, other legit, the Ryan Garcias, and the Mayweathers, and when you got guys like that. Like, okay, we see how this is going. Okay. You get them taking notice and giving this kid credit. Gotta give credit where credit's due. For good, bad, or indifferent. Does it put a stain on the fight game? I don't think so. Just because this is the way we talked about evolution. This is now how it's evolving. You gotta build your brand. Boxers and MMA fighters should learn from what he's doing. Don't copy it, but take some things from the playbook and make it your own. Look at Ryan Garcia, Gervonta Davis. They get it. That day of age of, the Holyfields and the Lewises and the Klitschko's and the Joshuas, the Canelos, the De La Hoyas, the way they went about it, that's gone. Now we're looking at the Garcias, the Jake Pauls, the McGregors, the Gervonta Davises of the world. The Israel Adesanyas. We lost Daryl there. Uh-oh. DY, come back. That's the way this route is going. Like it or not. But that's the way the world is turning. And hopefully these guys get it. Guys and girls get it, because you only have a short window. And that's how you got to do it. That's how you got to do it. Let's. Daryl's at here. Let's see. Uh-oh. Daryl's not back yet. This is Stephen Muehlhausen from DAZN. I lost Daryl Rivera. Hopefully Daryl Rivera will be back shortly. For people bouncing in and out, thank you so much. It's greatly appreciated. If you're watching via Facebook Live, leave a question. Leave a comment. And also, leave a reaction to the video. If you're watching via YouTube, it's simple. Hit that old thumbs up button. Hit the subscribe button on the channel. I can't even believe I'm going to put this up. Leave a comment or a question to this. Jake Paul, Daniel Cormier, who wins in a boxing match. Cormier's like, well, he could come the. And I want to read. This is where I got riled up today. And I want to get the quote exactly, and I have it right here. Let me scroll down to mine. Let's see. I find it funny because he's challenging me in something I've never trained in. This is what Jake Paul said to ESPN. He's trained boxing and striking and stand-up and has been in there with Stipe, John Jones. He's been in there with the best of striking, so why not box? You want to go against me in something I've never trained in before. Of course. That was Jake Paul to Ariel Helwani. Before we get any further, Jake Paul's not wrong. Daniel Cormier's had stand-up fights. Daniel Cormier's never had a professional boxing fight. I'm not saying that. But for Cormier to be like, well, I ain't going to go into boxing, but I would do MMA. That's looking for a way out. I'm sorry. That's looking for a way out because you know you're getting your ass whooped. And Cormier said he'd cut down to 205. Daniel Cormier today said he weighs 265 pounds. He knows an ass whooping would be coming. Am I right or wrong on that?
I'm gonna say you're wrong. I don't think it's too big of a jump. It's like Jake Paul says, he's been in there with the greatest strikers in MMA history. DC ain't no Ben Askren.
No.
Not even close. It's not going to be what people think first round knockout. It's not going to happen. I don't think this may be where Jake Paul either proves himself as a legit striker. Like, he has the boxing skills. Does he have the jaw? Because I don't think he's been hit yet.
No, he hasn't.
And I think this is the guy that can hit him. I don't know. I don't think, obviously, MMA is out of the question. It wouldn't be fair to Jake Paul, and I hate saying it because I would love to see it in MMA. But it wouldn't be fair to Jake Paul, my unbiased opinion. It wouldn't be fair to him to do something that he hasn't trained for against one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah. No.
Boxing, and the boxing rules, that's a fair fight. Mm-hmm. It's an even. You don't know who to bet on. You're clearly betting on Jake Paul from what you're saying.
Oh, fucking right, yeah.
I'm going Cormier.
Whoa. Okay. Oh, here we go. Humor me. Guys, who wins? Jake Paul, Daniel Cormier. I'm going Jake Paul.
I'm going Daniel Cormier.
They're like a bunch of these other fools on Twitter. And yes, I will say fools. How in the hell Humor me. I'm in the mood to be humored now. I
Okay.
really am.
I'm not disagreeing with you that Jake Paul does have boxing skills. He's a good boxer.
And how does Daniel Cormier win?
He's a striker. He's not the greatest striker in MMA history, but he's done it before. Like I mentioned before, he's no Ben Askren. Ben Askren was a pure wrestler. He was never known as a striker in the UFC. Cormier was a heavyweight fighter in the MMA. Jake Paul has never been tagged in a fight before. If you've seen articles from his sparring sessions, apparently if you tag him, he gets physical and he starts defending himself. That's what the difference is here. You see Jake Paul, boxing skills, they're there. I haven't seen him get tagged. And until I see him get tagged and actually come back in a fight, I'm going to keep betting against him.
But I've seen Daniel Cormier get clipped. And Daniel Cormier got pummeled in the striking department by Stipe Miocic. Not once, but twice.
At what weight?
Heavyweight.
Exactly. Jake
Paul. I'm not done. He got outstruck by John Jones. John Jones is not known for his striking. At 205. I'm sorry. Like I said earlier, I respect everyone in the fight game. Everyone that steps through those ropes or into that cage or into that octagon. Guy or girl is risking their life every time they enter the ring, the cage, or the octagon. No doubt. I couldn't respect them more of an athlete than I do fighters and boxers. So they're willing to put it all on the line each and every time they enter their state of combat. But this doesn't end well for DC. He's 42. He's not the world, and you said it. He's not the world's greatest striker. You're getting outstruck by John Jones, who's striking, and this is no disrespect to John. He's the GOAT. But his striking is pretty rudimentary. It isn't great. I'm going with Jake Paul. I'm going with Jake Paul by violent knockout. DC, I'm sorry. A lot of talk, a lot of bark, not a lot of bite from DC. I'm going to go and I'm going to slap Jake Paul. I'm going to slap him in the head if I see him. Slap his ass, please. Someone needs to put that kid in this place. I'm not denying that at all. No. If I'm saying I'm going to slap somebody, I'm going to slap somebody. I'll deal with the consequences later. But this is a one-sided ass whooping. That ends violently. Violently. I'm talking Kamaru Usman straight right hand, and the sweat in the head of Daniel Cormier is getting knocked silly.
That was bad. My God.
That's how that would end. And I don't even like saying that.
I don't think so. We're gonna have to disagree on this one. Hey, we might not even get an answer to this. This probably won't even happen.
And that's where I wanted to end with this. What odds do you put at this happening?
Like 10-1 that this happens, maybe 15-1. I don't think it's going to happen. I think there's I think there's better names that suit what Jake Paul is trying to do. I don't think Daniel Cormier is one of them. I think after seeing what happened Saturday, he needs to fight an amateur boxer. Somebody around the same level. Don't go pro like what Logan's doing with Mayweather. Don't do that. Tommy Fury's a name that's floating around.
Oh, no.
I want to see it.
If you told... If I didn't cover the fight game, I wouldn't know who the fuck Tommy Fury is. Not good.
I've done my research.
Well, so have I. I know who he is. But I'm saying if we didn't... Say we didn't cover the fight game.
No idea who that is.
No idea. Or even just a casual.
But again,
Oh, he's the brother of Tyson Fury. Oh, okay. And then that would be about like the extent of the Tommy Fury conversation. I don't think it happens either. Like, and this is the weird thing about it. I talked to people in the UFC about this today. They're the ones that gave him tickets. Think about that shit. He asked, they gave. They showed him on the broadcast.
Then Dana White is bashing.
Dana White goes on a temper tantrum like a 5-year-old, like my 4.5-year-old throws. I love watching Dana White throw temper tantrums because I think of my 2 children every time he throws. It's like the act is old. The act is. You brought what he failed to tell you is, hey, they brought me there. I wanted tickets. I asked. They gave them to me. This is where they seated. So this isn't like and they put him front row. It's like, come on, let's. The game is being. They won't let it happen. And see, people are like, oh, you know what, it can't happen. There's a shot of it happening because all Ben Askren did. He called Dana and he's like, hey, I want to do this. He's under contract. Cormier is under contract to UFC, just like Askren is. And they gave him permission to do it. They can allow Cormier to do it. If he asks, Dana's not going to say no. Cormier's done a lot for that company. And bailed them out of situations that he really didn't have to help give them a solid, and he did. Can it happen? Sure. I'd put it at like 25%. I don't give it much. But I think enough is there to where if this keeps escalating, I can't wait to see this Jake Paul. Who thought I'd want to see another Jake Paul? But who wins? Come on, son. We know who wins. Jake Paul by a violent knockout. I'll even call the round second round.
Ugh.
Second round.
Ugh.
Super necessary.
Good. This prediction game is like watching Monday Night Raw all over again. I'm good.
We're not talking that. You know what we're going to talk about really quickly? Impact Rebellion.
No, this was fun.
Now you know what? Me and you both give Impact shit, and it is deserved. But what company has been like? I like what AEW's been doing, but with the last 6 months, I've loved. Not even 6 months. Since July of last year, I've loved what Impact's been doing. I just think they got their act together. They got a great management team around that is keeping this not more than afloat. People are wanting to go there. And I have to give them credit. They're really solid right now. I thought a solid show. I said this to you. This was the first pay-per-view that I bought. I just bought. Didn't have pay. First, I don't pay for a pay-per-view. I don't pay for a streaming service. God damn, I felt compelled to order it. And for $40, I got my $40.
What was the last pay-per-view you bought before this?
I did not get reimbursed for shit.
I have to think about it.
I couldn't even tell you. And at least 10 years. I started with Bleacher Report in 2011. Sometime before I started with them in February of 2011. either whatever the January 2011 UFC pay-per-view or boxing major pay-per-view. Like, it's been that long. I just get everything. It's just one of the perks of this job. But all that aside, the reason I ordered it because it drew me. There was a hook, title versus title. I love me some Kenny Omega. I love me some Rich Swann. I just really like the card. I like what they're doing and the steps they're taking to become great. Like, you look at just the show. Like, it had some shitty stuff. Like, Purrazzo and Tennille Dashwood. No thanks. That was bad. I felt bad for Deonna Purrazzo. Tennille Dashwood, I just see people praising her, and it's like, the hell were you watching? She looked slow. Her spots were I felt bad for Purrazzo. She really had to carry someone who used to be a pretty good talent. I was surprised by Finjuice retaining the tag titles. I like that match. It was just a good, like, old school tag match with the Good Brothers. I did not think Finjuice was retaining. That was a surprise. I thought they'd bring those titles back to Gallows and Anderson and, you know, let them ride with Omega and kind of just see where they would go. But I was like, when I seen the roll up, I'm like, on Juice on, I think it was Finley. I'm like, wait, what? No, it was Juice. I'm like, wait, what? I texted Juice Robinson. I'm like, nice fucking pin, dude. He's like, you watched? Like, so I'll talk to him every so often because he's from Joliet. And people that don't know that.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
I did not know this either until I interviewed him for. It was when he first won the U.S. title. He had a big man. It was when New Japan was on Access. They had a show from the Cow Palace. It was headlined by Cody and Omega. He was in like a big time match. And I interviewed him, and I saw an Access set up the interview. And I look at my caller ID on because I have my phone wired. I have it connected to my board. And he came up and I'm like, where are you from? And he's like, oh, I live in Joliet. And I'm like, I live in Tinley Park. I'm like, holy shit. So then we just really clicked, like, after that. It's a very solid guy. But beyond that, it's just, I was so surprised. But it's nice to see. Like, the fact that New Japan talent isn't getting in that spot. I think that's pretty cool. I thought the opener, awesome. Josh Alexander, TJP, Ace Austin. DY, to me, that was the second best match on the show. Find a way to watch that match. That match was awesome. Loved it. Just, Josh Alexander, very underrated. TJP doesn't get enough credit since he left WWE. Like, I always felt TJP was very underrated. And then Ace Austin, for 24 years old, that kid can go, man. That kid, he's a stud. He's a workhorse. Josh Alexander, I love the gimmick. He's awesome. Good to see him win the title. I thought that was pretty cool. Not a fan of Ace Austin eating the pin. I would have had TJP eat the pin. Don't get why you would. I guess to bring legitimacy to the title, which I can go along with if that's the logical reason. I wouldn't want one of my young stars eating a pin like that, but if that's the route they go, hey, cool. But did you see any of the show?
I saw a little bit of Omega Swan, whatever clips I could find on Twitter. And then I did see clips of the X Division title match.
Man, this was awesome.
Yeah. X Division can go, man. It's always been Impact's go-to. Like, whenever they need a solid match, draw the crowd in, they always go with the X Division.
And rightfully so. You know, that's just, it's always been one of the strong points of Impact.
It's their niche. It's always been Impact stuff. Like, you could talk about the World Heavyweight title, you can talk about the knockouts, but it's always been the X division for Impact.
You look at that and like the women's division back in the day. Like I look at it now and it's not bad, but like their women's division for a long time was better than WWE's.
Yeah.
It really was, and I just like they have a good foundation. We'll get into that. I know everyone wants to hear about the main event. We'll get into that. But just like you said, you got to have staples. Their staple is X division. Always has been. You look at the guys that have ran through there: Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, just to name a couple. And you got to have something, and that is always their bread and butter. And you know, and that's continuing now, and that's just good to see. They had a tease for her Slammiversary sometime in July. They announced like their next two shows, like I don't know what they call them, like I guess you'd call them like temples. Like one on May 15th, and then the next one's like June 12th. And we'll get into that in a second because some part of that does pertain to Kenny Omega. Do you see the Slammiversary video?
Yeah, I did see that. I made it a point to watch that.
That was slick.
Yeah.
Great production. Because they start with Mickie James, Samoa Joe, Chelsea Green. And then they had like the Australian flag for Peyton Royce and Billy Kay. I'm like, this is great. Hey, the great Muda. You had Naito, a young Okada when he was in Impact. I'm like, oh, brilliant. You got people talking. That was aces. That was pretty sweet. I'm not gonna lie. What do you think? Do you think any of them go there? In terms of, because it seems like they have a partnership with New Japan. They obviously do with Finlay and Juicer. But what would you put the odds? We'll start with this. What are the odds of seeing Okada or Naito at Slammiversary?
50-50 shot.
Wow.
Just because I think Impact, New Japan, and AEW are going to have a good relationship coming this summer. To the point we already saw Kenta in AEW. We're seeing Finn Juice as the tag team champions. The fact that they retain tells me, hey, this partnership's extending. This wasn't a one-off. They both have talent that they can use on both sides. Like, you see guys like Rich Swann, you see guys like Willie Mack. Those are guys that can go to New Japan and work. TJP. They use Chris Bay. They have a good working relationship, and I think that whole, hey, we're not going to work with you type thing, I think that's over, man. I think talent sharing is going to be the big thing now starting this year. You've already seen it. You've seen the success it can have. You've seen what Kenny Omega's been able to do in Impact. It brought eyes to the product. Impact wasn't much. It was just, hey, we put good shows here, but we don't have the network capability. We don't have the eyes coming in consistently. AEW gave them that. They're giving them a platform. They're being smart about it. They're not competing with WWE the way they used to back in 2010, which is what always was their downfall when Dixie Carter was in charge. They wanted to be WWE-like, and that was what killed the company. Now they're doing their own thing, which it's getting interesting. I couldn't tell you the last time, and I saw when Black Taurus debuted it, and I've been watching Impact weekly ever since then. Before then, I couldn't tell you when the last time. I think Main Event Mafia was still on TV last time I saw it.
That's going back in the weeds.
Yeah, and that goes to show you, like, hey, they're getting me back into it because they're doing their own thing. It's not this. I'm not watching the same program 4 times a week. You know what I mean?
No, they're doing things the right way.
Yeah.
Now, do you have their subscription service, Impact Plus?
No.
I'm tempted to actually pay for it and give it a whirl. I don't know why.
I was tempted to get it too. Like I subscribed to New Japan World, and that was before Wrestle Kingdom.
That's a good one. I actually got rid of that.
Really?
The Zone, we weren't covering it. The Zone wasn't covering it, so I'm like, okay, they're probably gonna not pay for this anymore. So I kind of just said,
We can always share. We'll talk after.
we're not covering it right now. There's like nothing about New Japan right now that's exciting. And that's not a knock on New Japan. It's just there's not. But Big Cass debuted last night. You were not. You didn't seem too thrilled about Big Cass. Part of the I forget the name of the group now. It was like with Rhino and a couple of known as W. Morrissey. It was Eric Young's big surprise, and he looked like a 6'8" edge. Looked in good shape. I thought he moved around pretty good. The match was a little sloppy, but that wasn't because of him. His stuff was good. Hit the East River Crossing for the pin on Willie Mack, which that was fine. Willie Mack didn't need a pin. But W. Morrissey, Big Cass, good to see him in the fact that he got his shit together. He went through some tragic stuff. Ended up having a couple seizures, especially one at a House of Hardcore show when he go to the hospital. And, he was having some major alcohol, drug issues, which led to the seizures and everything like that. So he's got it together, which is great to see. He looks in fantastic shape. So that is great to see. And I think Impact's a good spot for him. It really, really is at this stage of the game. So glad it seems like he's doing okay. Can't ask for anything more. I think that's awesome. And why were you not thrilled of seeing W. Morrissey?
I wasn't not thrilled.
You didn't see
I think I just said that's an interesting move, and it's because it was something I didn't expect. I didn't think we would see Big Cass in a promotion in a while. Like, he made it pretty clear that he didn't want to be in a promotion, so it was kind of like a change of turns. And I was like, okay, I don't hate it. I'm not like over the moon about it, but I'm not pounding sand that it happened either. Like I said, like you mentioned before, Impact is a good spot for him. It's a low-key promotion where he can get his stuff done, improve his work, plus work with guys like, I can't think of a bunch
him
of
and Madman Fulton would be fun.
Yeah, it would be fun.
Just be some fun. To me, that would be fun. I like Fulton's work.
And having Eric Young next to him, like, to start, that's going to make him 10 times better. And I think it's a good move by Impact. I like it. It was just something I never saw coming. And I think it's going to be interesting to see. So I'm curious to see what kind of deal he got.
Do you think now that he's there, and I have to naturally bring this up, does Enzo Amore make his grand return to wrestling?
For Impact's sake, I hope he doesn't.
Why?
Just because I don't think he's that good of a worker. And I don't think he...
It ain't about the work with him.
And he doesn't give anything to the promotion. Like, it's the old saying, is the juice worth the squeeze? And I don't think in this case it's worth it. You already saw the problems that he had in WWE. You saw the legal issues that he's had in the past. He brings a lot of baggage to backstage area. He's had issues with the WWE talent in the past. He's had issues anywhere he goes. For a company like Impact that's on the rise again, I don't think this would be a good move for them.
I agree with you. For right now, I wouldn't. But when they bring fans back, you make that signing. And it ain't about his in-ring work. Yeah, it's awful. There's no joke about that. But he knows how to get you in the building. he's a proven draw. He's got that good, bad, or indifferent. It's like Jake Paul. May not like him, but he gets you into the building. You want to see him, like you said about Jake Paul. He wants to see you. You want to see him get his ass kicked. He can talk. I want to see him get his ass kicked. Yeah, he's a troublemaker, no doubt. He can flat out talk, and he elicits a reaction. And in a company that can always use, remember, and you know this about the wrestling business, any publicity is good publicity. But you got a point, though. You really do. And I agree with you. I don't think they bring him in, but I think you have to consider it at some time. But now is definitely not the time.
No, not even.
Let's get to the reason everyone watched Rebellion. The best bout machine, Kenny Omega, is your Impact Unified World Heavyweight Champion. Pinned Rich Swann. The 4-belt holder. The belt collector. The AAA Mega Heavyweight Champion. The Impact World Heavyweight Champion. The TNA World Heavyweight Champion. And the All Elite Wrestling Heavyweight Champion. Best bout machine, Kenny Omega. Good match. I didn't think it. A lot of people, it was great. And there were moments this match was great, no doubt. But too many. It just to me didn't seem like they jived very well. It just didn't. They had spots where they can get it into fifth gear, then they'd get back and get stuck in neutral, and then they blew a couple spots, and then you could see Swann starting to gas out, and that's when I thought Omega really turned it on. And Omega carried him that last 7-8 minutes to where the match then got really good. It was good. It wasn't 5-star what I'm usually seeing from Omega lately since he turned. And that great match he had with Ray Phoenix, the matches he's had with Moxley. It wasn't that level. It was still pretty good, but it wasn't what I seen with Phoenix, what I seen with Moxley. It was okay. It wasn't great. But the right finish, absolutely. Good to see Tony Khan, my new buddy. Catch Tony Khan in the archives, by the way. And Aubrey Edwards, Tony Schiavone, Jerry Lynn. Really good match. Pretty good. Not great, but pretty good. It was a solid B plus.
Yep.
But the right finish, and you got the 4-belt holder, Daryl, the belt collector, best bout machine, Kenny Omega.
All I can think about, and this made me going on the match itself. Lack of chemistry. Like I said, I didn't see the whole match. I only saw parts here and there. It didn't look like like you mentioned before, they were jiving very well. I don't think they had the in-ring chemistry that an Omega Moxley had, that Omega Phoenix had. I don't think they clicked. They delivered what match needed to be delivered, which is good. The result was as expected. I didn't think there was a chance that Swann would win. It would have been fun if he did, because then we would see Rich Swann on Wednesday night. But I still think, Kenny Omega is the bigger star of the two. He was the right winner. Now, do we get to see Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay? Is this something that can be in the works? This is the mark in me thinking about it, hoping it happens, because that could be a 5-star classic.
I've been asked this question before we go further. This pay-per-view did pretty well. Streaming-wise, from what I've been told from people at Impact and at Fight TV, this pay-per-view did really well. Hopefully I'll have a concrete number for you guys in the next... Hopefully I'll have the streaming number tomorrow, and then I can work my way up there for pay-per-view. But I thought about this, and I've seen this a lot on social media. Omega, he answered it on Instagram, and it kind of seemed like maybe that would be kind of cool. I could be down for that, but right now Japan's fucked up with COVID, man.
Yeesh.
It's a bad situation. Hopefully everyone, all our great listeners in Japan, hope you guys are doing okay. Staying safe, staying healthy. Hopefully you guys get vaccinated and everything. Get that done soon. Definitely my prayers out to everyone. Our prayers out to everyone in Japan. But if that match can somehow happen, sign me up. I'm there. I'll find a way to get there. I'll put it on the DAZN credit card. I'll put it that way. Send me to Tokyo. Let's go January 4th. Let Omega do the G1. Let's go.
Book the 2 tickets for me. Thanks.
Hey, it's his own credit card. I don't know what the limit is, but I can push my luck and find out.
Just
His
call me
own pocketbook is getting bigger, apparently.
Call me an intern. We call it a day.
Just paid Matchroom Boxing a crack ton of money. Shit. God damn. Good for Eddie. Good for Eddie. I love Eddie. But
he's been doing good.
He's doing okay for himself these days. But you look at. But it's like, now what do you do? I don't know. Does he enter the G1? I'm not deathly opposed to that idea. I'm really not. I can get on board to that.
Everybody's always wanted to see the New Japan versus AEW. Or New Japan versus, they wanted to see that talent come over here and see dream matches with certain talent over here. I think now's the time to do. Obviously, with COVID is tricky. Hopefully, everything gets better over there. That's the main obstacle to get through. But if it can be done, and you can get Kenny in the G1, you have to do it. Have to. And you know what's another interesting name to get in there? Who's been working with New Japan recently?
Who's that?
John Moxley.
Moxley, I remember when Moxley did the G1 in 2019, and I remember when I talked to him February 2020. He had the time of his life doing the G1.
I remember
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. He loved doing it. He wants to go back to do it. So
that interview they had with when he was talking about Shingo Takagi, it's so rough. That interview was one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why the fuck he's over here wrestling. He's a tank. Why am I fighting a tank?
I do have some news on Kenny Omega. This is from Dave Meltzer from the Wrestling Observer. He has confirmed Kenny Omega will work on Impact's next special, Under Siege, which takes place on May 15th and will air on Impact Plus. Opponent was not noted here, but so if you're looking to see Kenny Omega back in the Impact ring, Under Siege, May the 15th.
All right.
So that is good news for Kenny Omega fans and excited that he is in Impact. Okay, sorry about that. But that is good news there. UFC news. This just came. I kind of just was. This was from, and we'll end with this. Give me a second here. According to, this just came in a little bit ago. According to Sports Business Journal's John Oran, UFC 261 did more than 700,000 pay-per-view buys domestically on ESPN+. The number doesn't include any international buys, which typically comes with Oran's. So domestically, 700. It's a little bit of a disappointment.
Yeah. That was a hell of a card.
Well, we'll see what the internet. Usually the internationals kind of fluctuate, so we'll hopefully an international number will be. I'll see if I can get that for tomorrow. That is low. I was thinking it'd be maybe around 9.
I was basing on the card. I thought it was going to be 1. I thought it was going to get
Give
the
it a shot. Because UFC, when they fought at UFC 251, that did, it was like a 900,000 here, and then did another 400 internationally. So, well, if it holds to that number of 400, you're at 1.1. That's not a bad number. It's really not. So we'll see when that comes out in the coming days. But let's get to some of these comments and questions. We do got some. We got a good amount, so let's kind of truck these through here. Richard McPhee. Richard, good to hear from you, bud. Impact Rebellion was amazing. Not amazing, but it was good. It was solid. Richard McPhee. Jake Paul will get decimated by Cormier. That's too big a jump. No way Paul takes that. Man, all you guys hating on my boy Jake Paul. Easy.
That's all I'm saying. I got Richard McPhee on my side.
Steve, did you see how much when Anthony Johnson lost and is still jacked? I actually have not seen Rumble Johnson, and I'm talking to Rumble Johnson Wednesday. So I'm going to see how jacked he looks.
He's actually really jacked. Like I saw a picture recently.
That's what I keep hearing. Big fight. Oh, I don't watch much Bellator anymore. Thank God. But I shouldn't have said that. Did I say that?
Yeah, it's on the record now, but
yeah, I kind of said that there. I'll probably be hearing from Bellator.
Scott Coker's not going to be happy with it.
Me and Scott won't be happy I said that, but I'm not getting paid to watch him. Thank God. I'm kidding, but they have an awesome show coming up next Friday. Juan Antroleta, Sergio Pettis for the bantamweight title. And then in the light heavyweight quarterfinals, oh my God, Rumble Johnson, Yoel Romero. Ah, shit, yeah, bitches. You can catch that on Showtime. I am looking forward to that.
There you go.
I'm watching that show just for that fight. I want to see that fight so bad. That's the fight to watch. They should not. For once, you get a tournament and you do. We'll talk more about it next week. But Bellator did a good job of matchmaking. That was extremely well done.
And now you're back on Scott Coker's good graces here.
I think I've always had. I mean, Scott. They're setting up Moose to take out Omega. Moose is so improved physique-wise and wrestling-wise, he has potential to be a huge star. You're not wrong. Moose is great. That match Moose had with Rich Swann was fantastic. I watched that through my guys at Fight, and that match was great. Go out of your way. I don't know. Did you see that match they had?
I did.
That was awesome.
Yeah, awesome match.
Moose has improved drastically. Very, very impressed with Moose. I agree with that 100%. I don't know if Moose is the guy to beat Omega, but we shall see. That wouldn't be a bad choice. What? Daryl, no. What do you think, and Richard McPhee, what do you think of Triller suing Pirates for over $100 million of lost potential? Steve, do you believe Triller says they sold 1.3 million buys on Paul Asker? Kind of waiting on Daryl here. I really want to go over this with Daryl because this is a big. There he is. Hey, there he is.
I swear to God, this computer crashed one more time and throwing it through the window.
You see the question, Daryl?
What do you think of Triller suing Pirates?
What do you think of Triller suing Pirates for over $100 million of lost potential? Steve, do you believe Triller says they sold 1.3 million buys on Paul Asker? You know what? I got that press release this afternoon from Triller. I'll forward it to you, DY. Actually, I'll forward it to you now. Right. Why not? Piracy's a legit issue. You know, whether it's the UFC, whether it's Triller, whether it's Showtime pay-per-view, whether it's PBC and Fox Sports. You know, you can't blame them. Piracy is real. Whether we want to admit it or not, it is. And it sucks because hold on here. Sorry, Daryl tried to send us to there. I think QC sent it to Gmail. There we go. But it's one of those things to where these companies are losing money. They're losing legit a lot of money because people don't want to pay for a pay-per-view. This isn't hard. Plug down the money. I'm not the world's biggest fan of people that illegally get pay-per-views. Just not. If you don't have the money, find a way. That's kind of my running theory on that. And second part, do you believe when Triller says they sold 1.3 million by DAZN? Well, Daryl threw his computer. He threw it in. Oh boy. Oh boy. I've been told between 1 million and 1.2. I'm waiting to get a final number on that tomorrow. I'm gonna see if I can get one final. But I keep being told like right around there. So around 1.3 could be. It's the high end I would make, and from everything I've been told, but we shall see. Darius Devon. Darius, thank you for leaving a comment. No way Jake Paul is going to enter an MMA ring with Cormier. Oh, no. Hell no. If I'm Jake Paul, I'm going nowhere near an octagon. Put me in a boxing ring? I'd like to see it. That's just my honest opinion. I think boxing ring, Jake Paul. The octagon, DC all day. DC all day long and twice on Sunday. I really, really do. Will it happen? 75-25. I'm leaning no. But you never know. Okay. Jake Paul looking to cash out before the free ride ends. Why not? I can, and I say this with all sincerity. Get in while you can. I have no problem with that. I know people sandbag that, think that's horrible. It's a horrible thing to do. Gotta remember, a lot of these boxers and fighters in MMA, regardless of the promotion you fight for, get paid crap. You're looking at like top maybe like 3%. Maybe I'm being kind. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. I'd have to really do the research on it. But if he's looking to cash out, why not? Make what you can. Make it all. You go where the money is. Sorry, that's how combat sports works. That's how media works. You get a lot of money, go do it. Why not? I can never begrudge fighters or media people. You go where you can make the money. We all got families to feed. We all got to somehow survive. I don't have a problem with that. I really don't. And if Jake Paul wants to, and this is like what I said earlier, Jake Paul's playing chess. Everyone else is playing checkers. Plain simple. Like it or not. He is. Look at what he's done. He's got the combat sports world talking about him. Plain and simple. Hope you didn't throw the computer in the garbage.
You got my GIF?
Yeah, that's how I said it. And we're at the final question here, and I'm going to get your thoughts, DY. Jake Paul looking to cash out before the free ride ends. I don't have a problem with it because we know how this game is played. You only have a finite amount of time in combat sports to make your money. I can never begrudge a fighter, broadcast person, or anyone in the media. You take the money and go. Yep. Free enterprise.
I will never blame any athlete for getting paid. Never. I'll blame the people paying him, sure. But at the same time, he's also, and I told you this before, he's setting the blueprint for what some boxers, some fighters should do to just get their name out there. Some boxers just need to irritate the shit out of people just so they can watch. Do it. Who cares?
Exactly.
When you get emotion, whether it's love or hate, people will buy to see you. Whether if it's love, they want to see you win. If it's hate, they want to see you get your ass kicked. Either way, you want to get emotion out of people. That's what Jake Paul is doing right now. He has the blueprint. He gets it. If he's looking to cash out early, by all means, man. 24 years old and getting paid this much, have at it, man. No blames here.
I cannot. You hit it right on the head. I can never begrudge someone for that. You can't. It's smart. I know people don't like hearing that, but get in, get out while you can. In all honesty, and make the most you can, regardless of whether you're in the media side or you are in the fight side. You can never begrudge anybody. And we will end with that. Thank you for everyone that left questions and comments. That really means a lot. It's greatly appreciated. Don't forget, before we even go, Daryl, where can the fans find you on the socials?
You can find me on Twitter at DY21. If you don't know how to spell it, it's down here below in this lovely lower third graphic.
Good job.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And you can follow me on Instagram at Daryl17 Rivera.
Find me on Twitter at SMuehlhausenJR right there at the bottom. You find all my stuff on DAZN. Good stuff this week. You can find Walkway Fight Club on Facebook. What do you got there?
I got the popcorn ready for the beef between Cormier and Jake Paul. I'm ready.
What kind of popcorn? I'm a caramel corn type of guy.
Just cheddar popcorn. It's actually really good.
Not bad. Okay. I'm a caramel corn type of cat, but I can dig that. I can definitely dig that. You can find Walkway Fight Club on Facebook. Watch it via Facebook Live. It's simple. Just go follow the Walkway to Fight Club, leave a reaction to the video. Just type it in, Walkway to Fight Club, and you're there. Watching via YouTube, it's simple. Just subscribe to the channel. Get all the notifications. Turn your notifications on. Make sure you get all the latest videos. And then also, we are available on Twitter at Walkway Fight. And also can find us on Instagram, Walkway to Fight Club, all in lowercase letters. Available on podcast. The audio will be up not too long after this podcast is done. Rate, review, download, and subscribe. iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, all your favorite podcasting platforms. It's a pretty fun week here. Got this podcast will be up in a little bit. A great conversation with Chris Ariola, who headlines Fox Sports pay-per-view this Saturday night from Dignity Health Sports Park out in Carson, California, the old StubHub Center. Looking forward to that. Oh my God, that's a great place to watch a fight. He faces former 3-belt heavyweight champion Andy Ruiz, the highly anticipated return of Andy Ruiz. The first time he's fought since losing the titles to Anthony Joshua in a country I hope I never have to go back to. I'm kidding. I love our people in Saudi Arabia. We're big with the Saudis.
We're huge.
Baby. Number 21. I like it, man. We're moving on up in this room.
For those of you who don't know math, there's 20 people ahead of us. We're getting up there.
I haven't looked. I got to look at everything, but I just kind of looked. I was like, oh, cool. But good chat with Chris Ariola. Also, I'm talking the UFC Hall of Famer. He's got a new podcast, The Iceman, Chuck Liddell. It's been a while since I talked to Chuck. That's going to be up either late Wednesday, early Thursday. Talk to the Iceman. We're going to talk about everything. This podcast. He was at the Triller show. So I'm going to ask him what he thought of Jake Paul. His thoughts on this beef with him, Dana, and DC. We'll talk about that. And then I'm going to release it. And I was going to wait till next week, but next week's a big week with Canelo, and I don't want really nothing overshadowing the great Canelo Alvarez and Billy Joe Saunders. You can see that exclusively on DAZN next Saturday night, live from AT&T Stadium out in Arlington, Texas. Exclusively. Catch that only on DAZN. Eric Bischoff, WWE, and that was a surprise. You didn't know this one. I didn't tell no one. A 70-plus minute chat with the great Eric Bischoff. An interview we only timed out for about 45. We ended up going 70-plus. Talked about everything.
I'm upset at you right now.
You'll be okay. I tell you the number when it does fantastic.
I'm just gonna.
We talked about getting into the Hall of Fame. He's leaving. Wow. Why are you leaving? I didn't think you could be that upset. But a really good chat with Eric Bischoff. We talk about getting into the Hall of Fame. We talk about the finger poke of doom. And I defend with him the finger poke of doom. I never thought I would defend that. But we do defend. He rationalizes the finger poke of doom. MJF to Roddy Piper. That was a great little chat we had about that. Talked about a lot, but those were kind of really some of the big hot points we talked about. A great chat with Eric Bischoff. That will be up at the end of the week. I'm going to save that for either Friday or that may go up on Monday of next week. I'm going to decide on that. I'll think about it, see how things go for the week. But definitely this week, Chris Ariola and Chuck Liddell. Guaranteed either Friday or Monday of next week will be Eric Bischoff. Don't forget, rate, review, download, subscribe. Whatever podcasting platform you have. There's like 15,000 podcasting platforms. It's like utterly ridiculous.
Just don't use Stitcher. That's the only one.
Yes. We're not on Stitcher. Never. Even though they keep wanting, they ain't getting. But for Daryl Rivera, I'm Stephen Muehlhausen. We'll talk to you guys later.